The Diablo copycat stereotype has long since been buried. The hack and loot RPG has officially become a genre. Torchlight has been deemed one of the best of them. With its rich, colorful world and classic mechanics, it easily met critical acclaim. It was missing the most viable component needed for it to impress all comers: multiplayer. Torchlight 2 fixes this little issue, but with the recent release of Diablo 3, isn't enough to impress against the master. The story revolves around a mad alchemist who wishes to siphon the power of the Guardians. He needs this power to cure the disease which has begun to plague his mind. His power is overwhelming and becomes stronger the more he siphons energy into the heart of Andrak. The alchemist rampages through towns with no regard to those standing in his way. It's up to the adventurers to catch up to him and put a stop to this madness. Much like any of these types of titles, there is very little story to pay attention to. There's a library of text and the wooden voice acting is easy to ignore.
We arrived just as the alchemist was subduing the Guardian, but he caught us by surprise. We couldn't stop him.
Everything else in Torchlight 2 was not as easy to dismiss. The cartoon art style and vibrant effects matched the flow of combat on screen. Expansive locales range from haunting crypts and forests bursting with fog as ambience. It may not have intricate details such as foliage that moves with the weather, but the style paints an unforgettable picture for the world of Torchlight. The visceral brutality of combat in Torchlight is the epitome of the genre. Players will click furiously to beat the living muck out of an enemy. Skills can be slotted to specific numbers and the right mouse button. Each level gained by the player will increase their statistics to customize their character as they please. This is not something to easily be brushed off as an afterthought. Stats matter greatly when tailoring a specific type of character. The usage of items is based off what sort of stats your character has. Weapons descriptions will state that the player can use them at earlier levels if they have invested in a specific stat. So if you want to swing around that orange weapon you've just earned, it's a must that you have the required strength to use it. This development of an avatar is even more remarkable due to the freeform talent trees. The player is given the option to deck their character out in whatever fashion they see fit. Want a berserker who can heal himself, summon a pet, and dish out ridiculous critical hits? Design them that way. Torchlight 2 is extremely expansive and rewards the player for exploration. There are no penalties and grinding curves to get around before you are dishing out true damage. A veritable wealth of loot will crash in front of the controlled character, and the rewards will constantly keep you salivating. Torchlight 2 makes it easy to forget that there is a main storyline, as players will discover new quests and dungeons in each available area. Multiplayer is exactly what this title was missing, and it definitely feels better playing with friends. Getting into a server with other players requires you to sign up at Runic's website. Once you're in, joining up with other players is a breeze. The combat intensifies significantly when a large group of characters are traversing the world. Loot is plentiful for all players on their respective screens, so it's okay to release the inner treasure monger inside of you. Latency would be the only problem with the multiplayer at this time, but that's something that can be rectified through patches. Torchlight 2 is absolutely fabulous, but it does have a few nitpicky downsides to it. The creative player customization options for your character are underwhelming, and there isn't a real respecialization option. Players can respecialize any 3 points they have previously spent, but talents go up to about 15 and there are multiple spread across 3 trees per class. Plus you gain levels at such a frightening rate in dungeons that it's hard to hold onto a few points to try out new talents. So unlike other games, creating the perfect build is going to take a lot more work. Torchlight 2 truly stands on high as one of the most impressive hack and loot titles around. Any small foibles I can find aren't nearly enough to damage the immense amount of joy this title will bring. Runic Entertainment has captured the classic feel of Diablo 1 and 2 without charging up the wazoo. If you have $20 to spend, you'd be hard pressed to find a better game of its kind to throw money at. Torchlight 2 receives an A from Half-Ass Gaming. This is proof that $20 doesn't necessarily mean low quality.